Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA episode 304. I am Brendan. All right, TUF season 31. This is Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor, episode 10. Okay, this is going to be the Brad Katona versus Timur Valiev fight, or Valiev fight. All right, we're going to be breaking down the fight. We're going to be breaking down the episode real quick before we get into the stuff. If you like this kind of thing, subscribe to the channel so you know the next video is coming out. I do 2 or 3 videos every single week breaking down every fight from this week, the weekend. I do every episode of The Ultimate Fighter. I'm breaking down each episode. So let's get into it. If you're looking for the fight breakdown, just of the fight, not of the whole episode, timestamps down below. So real quick. Oh yeah. Also, I'm sorry. I know this is 2 days late. I was out of town. It was up in Grand Rapids. By the way, if you're ever in the Grand Rapids area, check out 10th Planet Grand Rapids. Scallywag Jiu-Jitsu is what it used to be called. Coach Chili is the guy there. Oh, man, it's fantastic. Love the place. They got a great wrestling program. There's this Coach Adam up there, teaches wrestling. It's fantastic. Could not recommend it more. It's awesome. But I was up there, and I couldn't. I could have brought all my stuff with, I guess, but I just don't have a very mobile setup right anymore. I used to edit on a laptop, and I used to do everything, mobile. But since I moved and since I changed jobs, I kind of, do everything at home. So I don't really have a good setup for mobile anymore. I might, but I don't plan on traveling a lot, so I probably won't. Let's talk about the episode, shall we? Okay, not a lot going on in this episode other than, them calling home. That was, a decent amount of the episode leading up to the fight. The fight did last quite a long time, so that was a majority of the episode's time, which I'm not complaining about. Chandler was really cool, not holding any grudges or anything. I like the fact that with Brad Katona, he was very professional. So was Katona. I love to see this stuff. I love it. I love it when, even in a league of killers, guys with attitudes, this false bravado, this pumped up freaking attitude, everything that they have to put on, every bit of the show that they have to put on in order to market themselves. There's still guys like this who are professional, courteous, understanding of the situation that they've been put in. Katona obviously going to a team that he's, doesn't necessarily not want to fight for. It's just, he's going against guys that he trains with all the time, which I also think kind of gave him the short end of the stick for this whole series. Because initially he's on Team Chandler, right? And then Team McGregor, they know exactly how Katona fights, and they know how he trains, so they know all of his weaknesses, and they can try and, game plan against him. Obviously, it didn't work, but, they knew all of his weaknesses. And now, with him going back to go over to Team McGregor to train with the SBG coaches, Chandler's team knows how Katona trains, and they know his weaknesses and kind of stuff. So I understand why he was very guarded initially, not wanting to give out a lot of stuff. He's there to be on Team Brad Katona, is what he said, which comes off as arrogant. And, he does kind of rub me the wrong way. He's one of those guys who has that, pseudo-philosophical side to him, and he spouts off, weird things. And I don't get it. It's not for me. I like his analytical side to his fighting. I love that kind of stuff. But his attitude is it does come across as kind of arrogant. McGregor was breaking things down. He was going into balance training and focusing on kicks in the episode, which I thought was pretty cool. Again, more of showing him actually doing some coaching, not just philosophical and mental coaching, but technique and breakdown and his philosophy towards training, which is awesome. And then Islam Makhachev stopped by to talk to Timur because they're friends. That was kind of cool. I mean, there wasn't much to say about that. Again, the lead up to this episode, there wasn't a ton in there. Obviously, they both call home. I said my piece on that last week. I think that's kind of old-fashioned. Not into that, but it's fine. All right, let's talk about the fight, shall we? Brad Katona taking on Timur Valiev. I wrote this down before I did it. I was like, I think both these guys are really well-rounded. Their cardio is probably what was going to be the factor. I thought who was going to be draining themselves more to make these quick cuts, to make weight. It might affect them, especially on the shorter timetable. So I figured the guy with the better cardio was going to be performing later. It seemed about even. It looked like maybe Valiev kind of was a little more tired in the end, but I don't think that played into the fight very much. Both guys started the fight like a ball of tension. They both were just so freaking tight, and everything was just jerky motions. But they kind of loosened up a little bit as the round went on, and then definitely as the fight went on, they loosened up and started opening up their combinations. Katona was finding the mark a lot more early on in the fight. He extended one of his combinations, landed a decent left hook. That was his best shot the entire fight, was landing the left hook. Some of them were hard, but most of them were really looping arm punches. Like, he wasn't sitting down on them and landing them with some force. It was really just like big swinging, and he would catch them, and obviously they don't feel good, but they weren't, earth-shattering. Katona was the one pressing forward. He got the first takedown, which was important, and then Katona got, when he got up, he had this nasty cut, like on the side of his head, and Valiev started landing nice lead. He landed this nice lead high kick. Katona countered with a right hand. Valiev landed some really hard low kicks. Katona landing a nice counter when Valiev entered, and then vice versa. So Valiev ended a nice counter hook as Katona entered. Katona's longer combinations are letting him connect more, but it's not a blowout. I wrote this down about halfway through the first round, maybe a little bit further. But then Valiev started landing, and he landed this counter left hand, and then caught a kick and got the takedown. They got right back up, but he started riding the back in the hip, the hip ride with one hook in. He got a big lift and slam to end the round. The big cut and the big takedown at the end of the round swung it to Valiev. In my opinion, I think, because Timur was landing things throughout the whole round, it wasn't a blowout at any point in Katona's favor, right? So Katona was definitely ahead going into the ending part, the last couple minutes of that round. Absolutely. I think he landed the better shots going up to that point. But then as the round came to an end, I think Valiev closed it in terms of damage. He closed the distance in terms of damage, and then he also surpassed him with the control time, because I thought the damage was even, and then he had some control time to put in there. So, because when Katona got on top, he was only on top for like 10 seconds. So I had a 10-9 Valiev, and just to staple this home a little bit more, both corners acknowledged that first round was Valiev's. Both corners did. Valiev was letting his kicks and knees go early in the second round to the body, to the legs, up top, even using them to counter Katona's hooks as he entered. Great right hand and a left body kick from Valiev as he really started to pick up the volume in this round, making Katona stop and think a lot. Katona landed a nice elbow in the clinch break in the middle of the cage. Katona pressing him against the cage, kind of just holding for the last 30 seconds. He didn't really do anything with it. He just pushed him against there, so he did get a little bit of control time, but I had him down on damage in this round. And then Valiev landed a head and arm toss to end the round, which, because of the slamming nature of it, like, obviously, again, not world record damage, not a crazy slam, but it counts, right? You can hold someone against the cage for 30 seconds. I don't think that's anything except for, that's just control time. There's no damage there, whereas when Valiev spun him around and flung him on the ground, that is damage. And because it was the end of the round, he didn't lose position, so that's just how it ended. Valiev with the volume, and he put more damage on him, and, I thought Katona needed to finish. I had Valiev up 20-18. And this last round, Katona was doing a good job with the pressure, but he just wasn't throwing as much as Valiev would be. Valiev's just unloading with the kicks. Katona landed a really nice right hand. He landed a few times in a row. Valiev was landing his jab really well. Katona was just walking into most of those shots. Valiev gets a takedown with 250 left. They get right back up, but Valiev had that one hook in hip ride position for a little bit again in this round. Katona was landing the harder hooks and straights when he does throw them, but Valiev was just landing so much more, constantly throwing those kicks out. And those low kicks were hard, right? Like, the punch power was definitely in favor of Katona, but he wasn't landing a lot of them, and they weren't so hard that they were staggering Valiev. They looked like they were good. They were good shots. I'm not going to take anything away from them. They were very good shots. It's just they weren't damaging him the way I thought apparently the judges did. And then also, another quick side note. I don't want to go into this again, but Dana White at the end, like they go to a single on him, and he's like, "Oh man, that was such a good fight. I guess I could see it going to another round." How? Do you understand how this works? Like, you still have to score the rounds. It's not, the fight isn't judged as a whole. Like, you still have to score the rounds. And that's the thing. Like, none of these were a 10-8 round, so how are you going to get a draw? Because there's 3 rounds now. This isn't the 2-round thing like from the first couple fights. So anyway, I actually, with the way Katona ended this fight, I had it 30-27 Valiev. Now, I could see maybe one of the rounds going to Katona, like maybe that first round you could give to Katona. But the second 2 rounds I had for Valiev for sure. I thought with his volume and the amount of damage he put on him through the whole round, Katona, he just didn't land as much. And even when he did, like I said, it doesn't mean I didn't think he did any damage. Of course he did damage. It's just I don't think those shots were hard enough to outdo the volume that was coming back in his direction. And then they gave the split decision to Katona. This is 2 times. Oh, and then Timur had a really good attitude about it. He was like, I just need to do more. No excuses. I just need to work harder. It's my fault I didn't go out there and give him a clear enough win. That's a great attitude to have. I think McGregor's team also had the right attitude. They didn't act surprised, but they kind of, they weren't saying like, of course we won it. Of course we got that. I think they know they kind of got away with one here. Similar to last week, which I thought, that wasn't, with Team McGregor versus anybody. They were both on Team Chandler, but I think last week they got it wrong as well. So we have 2 people going to the finals here. And I don't think either one of them should be. I don't know. Let me know. What did you guys think? I mean, this was a fun fight. I'd like to see the scorecards from this. I'd like to see how they scored it. I don't think those are available. No scorecards. Which is okay. I know it doesn't go on their professional record, so I guess maybe there's different rules for like them posting the scores or whatever, but I think unless there's some crazy rules I don't understand, I think they're getting this wrong. I think they got the first fight wrong, and I think they got this one wrong. I think Brad Katona and Timur Valiev both are UFC caliber, which let's end it on that note because I think that's relatively positive. I touched on this in their individual episodes when they won their first fight, but just to reiterate here, look at Valiev's record. Okay, his losses are some random guy in his first fight, Chris Gutierrez back in 2016, and then he beat him in the very next fight, and he lost a split decision to him. Right? I didn't watch that fight in World Series of Fighting 28, but and then World Series of Fighting turned into PFL, and he went undefeated there. And then came over to the UFC, had a no contest against Trevin Jones, beats Martin Day, Hani Barcelos, which is a great win, and then loses a decision to Jack Shore, and he's out. And like I said, in one of my other things, I understand why he would have gotten let go because he doesn't have the most exciting style with the pressure wrestling style and the more volume style striking. But then go ahead and look at Katona's same thing. Goes undefeated until he gets to the UFC, loses to Merab Dvalishvili, who is the number 1 ranked contender in my opinion. He's probably the best fighter in the division, to be honest, in the UFC. The only reason he's not the title holder is because Aljamain Sterling, who is basically his family at this point, is the champion. And then he loses to Hunter Azure, who was also on this season. But the thing is, like, he loses to Hunter, who's a very good fighter in his own right, and he's gone. He gets 2 wins. And then he loses to one of the best fighter in that division, I'll just say it. And another really good fighter. He has 2 losses, and then he's gone. I think both these guys were cut prematurely, and Dana White touched on that. It's rough when you hear that because he has full control. Like if Dana White wanted to sign these guys again, he could just absolutely do it. But he's coming at it like, both these guys feel like they were cut undeservingly, and we could, well, let's see how it goes. Let's see if we could sign him. You could fucking sign him. But no, you got to take him through the whole dog and pony show because you need a new season of The Ultimate Fighter, right? So I'm hoping that Timur finds his way back into the UFC. I think he does have a style that's not the most, audience friendly, especially casually friendly. But I will tell you that I think he's a very good fighter with a lot of skills, and he deserves to be in the UFC, if not some other big organization. Like I don't want to see him drop back down, fighting in GFC. Like go back to the PFL, I guess, or I would, Bellator maybe. Maybe one championship. He already trains in Thailand. I think one championship would probably be a better fit for him. That's it for the episode. Let me know what you guys thought. Like, how did you score it? Let me know how you guys scored this fight. Am I way off here? Like, did I not see something that Katona did? Like I said, I thought I saw that he was landing those left hooks, but they didn't rock Valiev, and he didn't land that many of them. Like some of them were blocked, some of them were landed, when Valiev was moving backwards. Some of them landed with a decent. None of them even landed with like that decent of a thud. So if you're gonna just talk volume for volume and who's putting out more out there and who's putting in more damage, you know what it is. I just figured it out. It's the leg kicks. They don't grade the leg kicks as hard. That's what it is. Sometimes you get a judge who understands leg kicks or grades them effectively or correctly, I would argue. And sometimes you get people like this who say that, Valiev landed like 30 leg kicks, but that's nothing. So I know not all strikes are created equal. Let me know what you guys thought. If you made it this far, subscribe to the channel so you know the next video is coming out. Like I break down The Ultimate Fighter every single week, going over. The next episode looks pretty cool. We got some country boys going at it. So I'm excited for that with Halabaugh and Hick Diaz. I'm excited for them to fight, and there's a good chance one of those guys will go on to win the whole thing. So if not, it's at least going to be entertaining when they go up there. So they're both action fighters. I'm excited for that. So tune in next week when I break that down, and then this weekend there's a decent UFC card. There's a PFL going on today, I believe. So I'll probably watch that. Actually, I think I will watch that because it's the playoffs. I think the playoffs started. So I'll be breaking that stuff down, and I'll let you guys know what I thought about that stuff. So subscribe so you know when that's coming out. Love y'all. Have a great week.